Craig. I want to start off by saying none of you believed in us. Nobody believed in 365 Sports. None of you all believed we would get past the first show. Nobody believed in Kansas City despite 5 consecutive AFC championship appearances, being the favorites to win the AFC, winning 3 Super Bowls, now being in 3 Super Bowls and having the best quarterback in pro football. I don't know how none of you believed in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Now, to play devil's advocate on that comment, when Russell Wilson got traded to Denver and you already had Herbert, Justin Herbert in the division, and Derek Carr had Devontae Adams, you think, oh, well, this is going to be a little more difficult for the Chiefs this year. Well, it turns out that only one of those teams was really any kind of good, in that the Chargers made the playoffs. But yeah, it's not to the level that Georgia was, but everybody believes in Patrick Mahomes. I think it's the difference between people wanting something and believing something. And like I'm sure a lot of people, they don't want to see dynasties anymore. They don't want to see the Chiefs do what the Patriots did. And look, they've won 2 out of 3 Super Bowls and they've been in 3 of the last 4 years. They are certainly set up to do things for a long, long time as long as Mahomes is there.
Despite Russell Wilson being traded to Denver, Kansas City was minus 10,000 to win the AFC West. Denver, the Chargers were next, well back, and then, of course, Denver, and then also the Raiders were not even, I don't even know if they got odds to win the West. But I'm just kidding in a way, because Georgia and Kirby Smart said nobody believed in them. Unbeaten, coming off a national title, they smoked TCU to win it all. Craig Smoak, Patrick Mahomes, look at these numbers. Look at the legacy of the Chiefs quarterback in what is 6 years in the NFL. 5 of them, he, of course, has been the starting quarterback for Kansas City. All of these, the Super Bowl appearances, all of it right down the list, he has created what is an absolute legacy in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were just talking about with Paul's comments, when Georgia did that, that was ridiculous. That was just silly, and that was your most sure sign that there's some level of brainwashing that has to go on for the particularly good teams to give them that edge that's needed. Maybe some of them have it and don't really need to have any sort of thing to rally around, but clearly the Chiefs were, playing the disrespect card. Georgia was just ridiculous because they were pretty much wire to wire like the top team in college football, and you might have had like a little scuttlebutt for an Alabama here and there or an Ohio State, but no one doubted Georgia. I mean, that was silly. With the Chiefs, I disagree somewhat. I mean, I do think, like Paul said, that people believe in Patrick Mahomes, but I saw a video just yesterday. It's Auburn football. They put out a video from their facility where, I guess, when guys were walking in to, attend the Super Bowl party or workouts or whatever it was, they asked them all who wins, and it was 14-0 in favor of the Eagles. Auburn players, 14-0 in favor of the Eagles. They weren't the only ones. There was a lot of people picking the Eagles. There were a lot of people that thought they were going to be the better team. So I think that if you're really wanting to put a microscope on Travis Kelce's comments in particular, then there was some level of, I guess, disrespect that not everybody just assumed that they would win it. But, I don't think anybody, to your point, doubted that they could get there or doubted that they could win. I just think a lot of people had hopped on the Philly bandwagon. But like I said, that's some level of kind of like mind games that you play, especially – when you're Travis Kelce's, what motivates you? How much bad are you really hearing? Because you're a Hall of Famer playing with a Hall of Famer on a team that's now played in 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. So you got to get your motivation from somewhere. So, yeah, I think it's a great way for the season to have ended with a great team and a great quarterback whose stats you just had up there that is only getting started. And the only sad thing, I guess, coming out last night, unless you were, obviously a Philly fan or somebody who had money on the wrong side of things, was just that football's pretty much over. I mean, we're going to head into spring ball for colleges, and, that's hit or miss as far as news and, consumption and all that goes. Of course, we'll have some of these spring leagues that have now popped up over the last couple of years, but it does feel like, football season, as we really kind of know it, is over. So that's sad, but hats off to the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. Not, gonna try and pretend just because I covered him for a couple years in high school that I'm bound at the hip with the guy, but it does make for a more personal, kind of look into what he's doing and what he's done, and knowing folks back in Tyler, Texas, where I grew up, that have all grown up with him or knew him or helped raise him or whatever it was, whether it be his mom working at the local restaurant or his dad being the big baseball star or just people that I knew that were, friends of the family or friends with Patrick. It's kind of connected a little bit more, and that makes it cool. And it makes it kind of weird, too, just knowing that he may very well be the greatest football player of all time when it's all said and done. That's 2 Super Bowls now. I know he's got a really long way to go to, scratch the surface of a Tom Brady, but I know one thing. They're not going to be sitting up there in 10 years saying, you doubted if I could ever be here winning. I'm not doubting him. If he wins 7 Super Bowls, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
He is phenomenal. And the fact that, and there's also a note from the Pac-12. We'll get to that in a second. They just released a statement about their television future or their media future. But, yeah, look at the numbers again from Patrick Mahomes. And this has been done. Remember the first year he sat behind Alex Smith. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 overall league MVPs, including this year, 5 times Pro Bowl, 2 times first team All-Pro. And he is now, and the best part about this was the fact that even after the ankle was re-injured or aggravated right before the half, he came back, was absolutely flawless in the second half. And the biggest play might have been the scramble, when he found a way to gain, 25 or so yards that kick-started what was the game-winning drive, and Kansas City comes back from 10 points down. I thought Jalen Hurts was freaking great in that game. Yes, he coughed it up on the one fumble, trying to move the ball from one hand to the other to protect it. Ended up being an easy score, but even after that, they went back and scored to take a 7 and then a 10-point lead.
I was on with our buddy Stephen Foster yesterday morning on his show, and I kind of said, look, you know what the difference between Jalen Hurts and Dak is that Jalen Hurts knows his limitations for the most part and doesn't try to do those things. And then the other thing is that he has 2 wide receivers he can count on right now, where Dak only had 1, and they have that deep running game. They had much of a better roster than the Cowboys did, especially on offense. But as far as like the way that they play and the decisions they make, that's where Jalen Hurts is better. That and the fact that he's, more athletic at this point than Dak is, hadn't suffered those big injuries. And, yeah, I'm very impressed with Jalen Hurts. I don't think the Eagles are going anywhere. I think they're set up, especially with him on his rookie deal for the next couple of years, to really be able to continue to be aggressive and make the A.J. Brown-type moves that they've made to keep this going. It'll be interesting to see, what happens with Jason Kelce after the year and how they address that. But, yeah, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be around for a while. Harry Roseman's built this team to contend for the long haul, I think. But the Chiefs, just so impressive. I thought maybe Andy Reid would retire, and maybe that would be Eric Bieniemy's shot. But
I don't know. I never that. This, he will have. You'll have to bury him. He seems to be having as much fun. Of course he is. He has Patrick Mahomes. I thought it was really cool that he made sure to mention Eric Bieniemy in the postgame about what Bieniemy did at halftime as they came out and had 1 incomplete pass and were just absolutely phenomenal in their comeback win. Here's one of the note, by the way, about Philadelphia. We've talked about how they've rebuilt themselves since the Super Bowl when Nick Foles and all that, with that Super Bowl, they rebuilt themselves. Kansas City basically did that a little bit themselves, remember? Losing their most dynamic player in Tyreek Hill and finding a way to continue to just be really, really good. And, of course, they hosted the AFC Championship game and now have the 2 Super Bowls after a long, long time of not winning, after they were a part of winning the 3rd, or there was a 4th one when they upset the Vikings and the Purple People Eaters back, I think, it might have been 1969. Now, here's